What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are Traditional Fans with Opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. From Overshadowed to Overpowered, episodes 6 and 7. So in these episodes, so yeah, Eftal, Julie, and Merlin. So they use all this high level magic against each other. Everyone in the school is shocked. And Eftal's able to win. He's proud of Merlin for having gotten really good at magic, and Merlin deduces that she is deduce that Eftal is the reincarnation of the Lightning Emperor. And then yeah, and basically Merlin cries um of seeing her master again. Eftal, confesses yes he is that. And he praises Merlin for having improved. Then after the fight, Anastasia arrives, says basically telling us that everyone who was watching just saw the high level magic. Now Merlin's annoyed that Eftal owns a slave. Now I guess she doesn't know yet that Anastasia is her relative. But Merlin says, "All right, she trusts him, and then she helps him escape." And Merlin takes Anastasia and Eftal to her mansion, which is Eftal's old mansion. She basically been preserved for years, and she'll adopt the two of them and transfer them to Altina Academy, which is a school for demons and elves. So humans generally don't go there. So Eftal gets his katana Rikeri, which is a triple S rank treasure he got from the Demon King. Now Genie, was the guardian, doesn't real know that Eftal is that the Light Emperor, and he just calls him Anastasia Thieves, and he calls Merlin Old Hag. But Eftal gets the sword easily, and Merlin was able to hear Genie call her Hag, and she gets pissed, so Genie's scared. So then later so Eftal, Anastasia, and Merlin, they do a treasure hunt. Merlin wants it for the hot springs trip. Anastasia wants it because there's a statue, like a Buddha type statue that she claims resembles Eftal. So they went pretty easily. Like it's really like a minute. Like if it's like less than a minute. Like of screen time is what it shows. And so apparently you don't see the hot springs trip, but apparently, so while Eftal's eating there, Merlin comes in and tells her that she. So during the hot springs, so Merlin was examining Anastasia's body because she Merlin was under the assumption that Anastasia basically was like supposed to be was Eftal's mistress. So she was checking her to see if she was someone I guess she would say would be worthy of being Eftal's mistress. Eftal's like he says that they're not like that. But Merlin says she also saw the slave crest on Anastasia, and like its parents a very high level one that's I guess difficult to remove. And she asks why Eftal took her in. Eftal gets angry and refuses to discuss what's going on, and Merlin agrees to be keep quiet. I guess Merlin doesn't know yet that Anastasia is her relative. I guess that hasn't been explained yet. So Eftal and Anastasia they start going to Altina. So humans are seen as a lesser species there, so everyone assumes Eftal is just someone of high importance. Which technically is. He's a reincarnation and descendant of the Lightning Emperor. So there's a demon named Abe and an elf named Maria who basically kind of challenge him. Abe, I guess, is like the top student, acts like a bully, whatever. Now Merlin takes over as teacher, and she says she's there to you know, instruct Eftal, and Abe, some others ask Eftal why he's there, and Abe says, Merlin, I guess, volunteers to teach human kids, magic, and he claims that Merlin likes to personally teach, uh, the young male humans. So he basically accuses Eftal of being Merlin's boy toy, and he calls Merlin a hag. Eftal says he should say that about Merlin. Now, interclass battles about to start. Merlin asks for a magic swords volunteer. Now, Abe volunteers himself, and Anastasia, who for some reason has been afraid of Abe, I'm assuming that's going to get revealed pretty soon, nominates Eftal to challenge Abe for that title. So it looks like we're going to see a duel between Eftal and Abe, which should be interesting. But yeah, I thought these were good episodes. It was freaking funny seeing Merlin's interactions with Eftal. Like, so it looks like we're getting some stuff about Anastasia's backstory soon, because given her reaction to seeing Abe, there's definitely something going on. And I think that'll be revealed pretty soon. So yeah, I thought these were good episodes. Looking forward to the next one. The exiled Heavy Knight knows how to game the system. Episodes 5 and 6. So in these episodes, Alimus learns that buying and selling skill books is illegal, which is different than the game he played. So basically, the reason is that the skill books that are out, they're basically held by nobles and the church, and like basically, so and that's like the only way. And so people really can't get skill books, which is causes problems for him because he needs a skill book for his heavy knight class to be good. But he learns of a underground shop, you know, basically, black market, shop that has some, items like that. And so, Alignment news that his father's mansion probably does have a skill book. And, basically he's pissed at his own, arrogance as a noble in the past. So, and then now the skill book he needs is called the Fane of Smoldering Sanity. And he finds it, but it costs a lot of money. So Olimus has to so he asks the shopkeeper to reserve for him, and she agrees, but raises the price from 50 gold to 55 million gold. So to get that kind of money, he needs a party, and Alignments overhears a party. You have a swordsman named Klein, a thief named Rice, and a Puro named Rooch. They had just gotten some very rare sword, and Rooch says it's because of her skills, and Klein says, no, what the heck are you talking about? And then because basically Rooch does not have high combat skills, but Alimus overhearing conversation deduces that Rooch must have done a specific skill tree that would be very useful to him. So Klein, being cocky, basically doesn't want to pay Rooch what she's owed, and so basically I guess tries to kick her out of the party, and Rooch runs trying to apologize, say she'll just work for free, she doesn't want to be alone. Then Alimus grabs her hand, asks Rooch to join the party, and he sounds very crazy when doing it. So Rooch and Klein are like, "What?" Now, Klein agrees to let Alimus take Rooch, and now Rice is suspicious why Alimus is interested. Maybe there's some tell she tells Klein maybe there's something about Rooch's skills they haven't thought about yet. Now Klein deduces that the Alimus being a heavy knight is just desperate for Prime members, and then and basically so alignment and the money that Klein tossed on the ground, which is like 100,000 gold. as like her like final wage. Elias tells her not to grab it to basically not take pity, basically not take some pity from Client Rice. Now, and Client assumed that maybe like Elias just really like is trying to hit on Rooch, and Rooch thinks that as well. Um, and she's like, and she tries to like friend zone him for a little. She's like, hey, let's not go immediately that. And Lima says no, that he wanted her in this party because like Klein had her max out the Lady Luck skill, and so Olimus buys her a sword, like a knife, or whatever, like a dagger, and so basically her only attack before getting was like relying on a dice roll. So Alimus and Rooch go to the Angels Playbox dungeon to get her to level 30 and earn 30 million gold in a single run. So they start the M4s, fighting some level 20 monsters until Rooch gets level 20. And so item drops are very frequent. So Limus deduces that Rooch has something called a Cat's Paw skill, which boosts drop rates by 500%. Now, so they then, after that, after fighting some of like the monsters there, which are like they look like teddy bears, but like they look like they're stitched together, like they're like zombie teddy bears, or whatever, like patchwork bears or so. And then they defeat those, and they go to to below to deeper to find the golden Rana frog. So yeah, I thought these were good episodes. So right now this the quest for the skill book. So Olimus having more difficulty in fighting the way he wants to due to like I guess the politics of the world causing problems with that. Now, you know, then Rooch is introduced. Obviously based on the opening ending, and the like a lot, I guess, some of the cover art for some of the manga volumes. Obviously she's important. Like heck, in the logo on the Wikipedia page, she's like more front and center than Alimus. Yeah, I thought these were good episodes. It was fun. Rooch is freaking funny. So there'll probably be some good humor from all of that. So yeah, I thought these were good episodes. Looking forward to the next one. Mebius Dust episodes 4 and 5. So in these episodes, a lot of this you have the whole drawback of the dust and all that, all the abilities everyone has. So Arky and his team, there's some friction going on, and you have Yuda's experiments, causing issues for Arky. So yeah, and then you see how like he does his like how they affect the games, how the teams able to do all these competitions together, and then after that you have so then you this experience like there's some fallout from that, and like Araki and his group they're wondering what's the actual deal with the Mebius dust. And you have there's games between the Rams Courier children, and like some anomalies start appearing like in this like around. So um yeah, so obviously there's now some mystery about what's going on with the Mebius dust. So like some kid tries to escape the city, but half his body vanishes, and then there's something wrong with the Suzuku's lungs being replaced by Mebius dust. So now there's a you know so it looks like yeah there's some very dangerous and Araki and Stellar revealed to be siblings. You know and apparently they're possibly not blood related. So however that goes on, how, I don't know exactly. going on, but no, they're gradually built the Mister, the Mebius dust, and all the abilities. So yeah, I thought it was interesting. All stuff. The experiments are very interesting. The games. You know, there's some interesting though how it shows off the abilities, but like yeah, it's gonna be interesting how things gonna be. I thought these are decent episodes. Looking forward to next one. Well, that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.